recording.
Right.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the new initiated program of Edge of Truth. We're setting up a new platform for our expression here on the levels of truth that we all want to be into in our daily lives. So my name is Will Gable, along with Sharon, Quinn, and Trison Graham, which you see there in the video. Again, we're moving into another platform here from our other show platform.
So what's the new name?
The new name is Edge of Truth
Radio.
Okay, so also this will be expressed in video and audio, so you can catch us on either platform there. So again, my name is Will Gable. Sharon, Quinn, and I have done years of the Edge of Truth, and so now we're wanting to, through Trison's expertise here, to bring it into a little bit more formalized approach here to reach a greater audience, especially in the spiritual. And today we're going to be talking about spiritual, emotional, family ties. And I guess I'll throw in a little bit of the astrological thing, since Cancer's sun is now being revealed here today. This is more of a Cancerian familial approach. The moon is in Cancer, Mercury's in Cancer. So we'll be talking a lot about dealing with family issues and some of the background Trison's got on his family. It would be very interesting. So we wanted to open this up today to a greater audience, a worldwide audience. We'll say the family of the world. Okay, through these Cancerian influences. So anyway, my name is Will Gable. I'm gonna introduce Sharon Quinn, which she's got a few books that she's put out over the years here: Preface to Your Eternity, Tango with the Divine, The Big If in Life, and then this recent one, which is more, I guess you'd call it more family oriented as today, is this parenting book, which she can introduce on her own. And so anyway, in bringing that about, Sharon, you want to introduce yourself a little bit more, and then we'll go to Trison.
Before you pass the ball to me, Will, would you let people know about your interest of balance and the great deal of that you have done in your life that you can always be bringing to our discussions from your Aikido practice?
Well, my background is not just Aikido. It's the martial arts period. I've been in yoga, meditation for 45 years. So a lot of it's an integrative expression. I look at Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu and Judo and all the martial arts I've been in as kind of an outward expression of the inwardness that I've got into in my meditation practice. Aikido is considered the master of it, we'll call it, is a movement master, but it's also been considered meditation in motion.
And its key is always balance.
So it's a centering balance. We want to be coming from our center in spirit, because Aiki means way of spirit power. That's basically what it means. Like Judo, it's the way of Ju. Well, Ju means gentle. So we've pretty much integrated all of our arts. Our great Sensei Geis came from Sensei Tomiki, who came from his practice with Sensei Ueshiba, who basically coalesced and integrated all his great practices into Aikido, or a way of bringing the world family together in peace. So it's a fairly in-depth art. If you stick with it, you'll be really glad, because you'll gain a lot of good connections with people. And main thing is to get your own internal connection going, because today we're going to talk about centering in children and our parents.
And will you just share with our audience today what level belt you are, because they may be wondering?
Well, I've was recently promoted to 9th Dan now our group is Kihara Aikido, overall umbrella, and our local group here is Hikari Aikido. Hikari means sparkling light. So now Kihara actually, this is from Power Center, okay? Ki and Hara. Hara is the centering point for most of the martial arts, but he got into it in the sense of the centered ki, or life power from the universe that we're bringing into our life expression through our practice and our daily life. So I was fortunate enough to have greater senseis, to Tim Joe promote me to 9th Dan, and then I'm 6th Dan in Shindo Musaru Jodo. A lot of our practice has integrated possibilities in many of the arts because you're able to express the principles, which is the big deal. It's all based on principle, period.
So Will touched on many things that you're going to keep hearing on the Edge of Truth radio all the time. We're always going to be talking about principle because that's eternal law, and you're never going to top it. It always was, always will be, and what more could we want as a stable track, right? But getting back in touch with that so you can know about it, okay? Instead of just BS about it. So we're going to be big on cutting the BS. We're always going to be trying to get everything into be nonviolence. But power without violence, and without backing off, and always going to the bottom line. Okay, we always want to get to that bottom line where we got clarity. So we're talking about clarity, truth that never fails because it's part of principle, balance, harmony, communication.
Some of the major principles at least came out of Mr. Oshiba's enlightenment, we'll call it, was nonviolence, non-conflict, and non-resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can bring those into your existence, if you're having some serious issues here, sometimes just getting into an art that gets you beyond what you think is real.
So we want to bring that art and do not only on the mat and into from the martial arts, but into life, into parenting, into education, into our health, and into our well-being, and even into the political things, because we cannot ignore that the political world is influencing our life. And we all know that now more than ever with this carnivorous thing. That's my name for it, because it's been devouring, the narratives have been devouring our good graces, our kind natures, that heart-to-heart relating that makes us so beautiful as the human spirit, and our common sense. And people are becoming very hateful, very marginalized, very radical, and we'll be talking about all that. Now, okay, I'll just say quickly, I'm a Montessori teacher. I train teachers. I studied directly under Dr. Gaspari, who lived with Maria Montessori. They were both exiled in Kodaikanal, India. Interesting, during the fascist reign of Mussolini, who wanted to murder both of them. So here we are coming to a climate in the world that is getting just as hostile and trying to go into that same kind of socialism, fascism kind of movement as if it's the new big thing to go into. And it's not. And I think in our hearts we know it. And we don't know what to do about it. So here we're going to talk about cutting edge paradigms, because paradigms are the thought patterns and structures that we follow to live our lives and build our institutions. So we'll get into that more, but I just wanted to lay that out as a bottom line. And what I'd like to do now is move this over to Trison Graham, our trusted geek who's making this possible. Without Trison, you ain't going to be seeing this live on a new platform. So thank you.
Resident expert. Yes.
Right, and he has an important
you.
Message to give, and so Trison, take it away.
Thank you, Sharon.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'm Trison Graham, athlete, trainer, entrepreneur, currently a dog trainer, but that's
With a big dog.
transferable skills.
Oh.
And I'm delighted to be here helping Sharon and Will. I'm very excited. Sharon was telling me and referring to me as her direct connection to kind of the kids and young people in the world, and I have a extreme care for many kids that are in my life through family and friends, non-family, and so I'm just extremely grateful that we're here alive, streaming, and look forward to going much further. I honored to be starting out the show just by mentioning a word of Happy Father's Day to everyone, all of the fathers, and those who are celebrating with their fathers today. Just wish you well and blessings, and also to my family and many that are probably like me that are missing their fathers today. There is heartfelt pain and loss, mourning, but also celebration for our fathers. For my father specifically, he was excellent provider, caretaker. Literally built the structure of my life for my first years, a long time, and I'm grateful that I had many years with a great father, and acknowledge that a lot of people aren't blessed with that.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of love and concern in my heart for you, all of you, and all those in my family that are with me. But it ties into a direct connection with the kids of today, the children, young people, of which I still consider myself, but I'm on the latter end, and will willingly step into the next phase that might include teaching and training the young people. And so I'm grateful for teachers like Sharon and Will, of some of Sharon's curricula, programs, and also Will's Aikido. They're excellent study and tools that really make life fun, and that's what I'm all about. That's very important, and a value of mine is fun.
Thank you for your kind words.
Yeah. So I'll
and you know, he shares from his heart. So what's beautiful is we also talked about how we could present an idea about Father's Day, how many people coming to Father's Day, their fathers are no longer with us. They've passed on, and that's true for Will and I and Trison. And so possibly families might want to consider, rather than just letting it fade away into nothing, is to celebrate Father's Day by celebrating what influence your father had upon you in that given year. As we grow up, we mature, we begin to see what our father really meant to us, what Daddy really meant, you know, and that way we can keep them alive by celebrating their presence. Did you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. But anyhow, we thought we kind of brainstormed that out and just talking heart to heart, and just thought, why not share that with the world? Give them another viewpoint and another way to look at this. Why not, right? It uplifts. And that's what the Edge of Truth is always going to be about, is uplifting where we think we are. We think we've maybe hit a wall, hit the end of the road, or things can't get any better. Well, from the Edge of Truth, you can always see a bigger, better picture. And that's what we'll always be wanting to talk about, brainstorming here, and carrying forward. If you would also mention, Trison, some of the technical things that people need to know about our show being on Twitch and stuff, because that's like foreign to me.
Right. So this is a brand new Twitch broadcast channel, and it's going only onto Twitch. So viewers of Twitch and subscribers of the Twitch channel are seeing this.
We love you.
As as it goes down, and Sharon and Will have run a radio show actually for 7 years.
Yeah, Will and I
7 years
hosted one
previous to this Twitch channel, and so we plan to take and upload to share some of this extremely valuable discussion and contemplation of spiritual thought, metaphysical thought, different
thought.
Truth, right?
Education. We talked a lot about education.
Probably a lot of topics in 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Let's hope so. Otherwise, we would have been very boring.
No, if I know you guys, I know that you move through. You move and cover a lot of ground and take a high perspective, and that enables you to really see and determine course of action, and that's an extremely valuable thinking skill, and
Right.
not only a tool but also a way of thinking. That being said, there will be content available on YouTube and Twitch for now. We'll keep you updated as we grow.
It'll be him keeping
I'll
it up.
keep you updated as we grow and expand.
So you can all remember and have great gratitude in your heart for Trison's being able to get this to you. Pulling us out of just our little place here in Oklahoma City. Because the world really needs to know this truth, and most really great truths aren't really the big promotion, because they don't really come off of a greed, money, fully, totally only money driven, what can I get out of this for giving it to you idea. Grassroots movements is where the power of life really for big change occurs. Rarely do the institutions we already have encourage that, because they're kind of locked into where they're at, and they're just trying to preserve what they have made. We're hoping to get people back in touch with their empowerment. First, we're going to start with the family level, parenting, because that's under such attack right now. We're going to get into that very, very shortly. But it's really important to see the big picture that the Edge of Truth Radio is offering to you, because you deserve to know so much more than you are currently being exposed to. And there is a value of coming into the whatever age you want to say Will and I have finally hit to. But we've been through enough life, ups and downs, attacked and survived, to get that one gift that we can never get until we actually get to our more elder, sager years of wisdom, by applying and seeing what works and what doesn't work. In retrospect, I'm the same person I was when I was 20, but I have experience now under my belt, and my same drives and altruistic viewpoints still live within my heart, but I'm much smarter on how to actually deliver them, and I've taken a lot of the ideas and vetted them through experience to validate that some ideas they work like crap. I mean, pitch them in the garbage, man, that's where they belong. And then some prove to be actual gems, but you got to be willing to experiment and do them. And so we're sharing with you the stuff that didn't get in the crapper.
This is gold.
Because there's enough in the crapper that's being offered to you as the real deal. And you're plugging it in, and your lives are not getting better, or you run for 5-10 years down a path and then realize it was crap. Well, that's 10 precious years of your life. It's painful. And there's no reason to have to go down there. We just need better mentoring, people who are more willing to just put you on the edge of truth and your feet dangle in it and get a little bit more and a little bit more. You don't jump into truth all the way. It's too much, too fast. And it would be overwhelming. So we want to make this as gentle as possible and yet as powerful as possible. And also pace it out there in ways that we can accelerate it, and you can go back and listen and pace yourself through the information. Some people are probably just chomping at the bit, and they're going to hear this and they're just go, oh my God, we've been waiting for this. Let's get together, let's do it. Because that is the big thing that has to happen. We have to want to do it. Do you have anything else you'd like to share?
No,
at the moment?
Well, I would. Perhaps you could share about the.
I got to get used to looking at the camera.
Yes.
He's training me.
Well, I just wanted to ask if you'd like to share about your new book.
Oh.
The book that's
coming out.
Forthcoming, yes. And then I have questions
Cool.
that I think the audience would really benefit, and I would benefit as well.
Now, he's a beta reader of the book,
Yeah.
so he's got his eyes on it before it's
yes.
quite hitting the press. And therefore, his questions will be very poignant to what readers are going to actually say. And what I love about the beta readers, every beta reader giving me their honest feedback, has just made the book better and better and better. I listen to their feedback and plant those jewels and answer their questions as to give a more whole, complete gift to humanity as you're reading. I wrote the book. Well, let's just say quickly, I've known what I wrote in the book for many, many years, and I learned it from an experimental school that Dr. Kaspari encouraged me to open with a Montessori environment that gave us some freedom to do more work on character training, the emotional, spiritual, communication, and character development, because I felt that was really the heart and soul of what potential was. That's where the potential really was in a human being. That was a theory, and Dr. Kaspari and I talked about it, and she said, that's a theory worth testing. She says, take the Montessori method and see if this uplifts it, because Dr. Kaspari said that one of the things when Maria Montessori died, the greatest pain in her heart was that people wanted to lock the Montessori method down into what she originally discovered. And she knew as she was approaching her death that there was so much more, but younger people needed to take it and evolve it, because humanity keeps changing, and we have to keep all education current with how children change, life changes. Otherwise, education becomes, it falls behind, then the children that are being taught fall behind, and our future suffers, and you can just see the cascade, it goes backwards and collapses instead of moving it forward to create greater and greater horizons of growth. Okay, and in education right now, we see that very much as still trying to keep the public educational system tied to an industrial model, where people were being really prepared to work in factories. Oh, we don't live in that world anymore. And our kids being prepared to work in a factory, that ain't going to cut it. Sure, they can work in a factory while they first get out of, when they first get out of high school and they start really getting their feet wet. Yeah, let them learn a few things and get some few bucks under their belt while they're really getting themselves ready to do the work and the career they want to do. Let them get some empowerment and move forward. Hey, it's a system that works beautifully because we keep moving ourselves, and we watch ourselves advance, we watch ourselves empower ourselves, and we watch how we move from just being able to get out, get away from mom and dad, get our apartment, get a car, and we do it ourselves. If our parents give it all to us, we have no real verve inside of ourselves that's ours, that will carry us to be a leader in our field, in our career. We cannot. We might think we can jump that bridge. I can just go from not having any training, not having my boots on the ground, to suddenly becoming a great leader. Well, that's a lie. You'll be somewhat a very unstable leader, because you will not have the humility. You will not have the compassion for what it's like to have to do the work and to really test out theory to what works. It gets rid of a lot of our arrogance, tames the ego down, as our spirit self gets to move forward. Was that confusing the way I said that?
No.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. So this is really important because that's what I discovered was where our potential was. Our potential really was in having conversations, talking about our creativity and giving a space and expression. Now we all know all parents are basically realizing that they don't like how education has pulled music out, pulled out, even physical ed, and have pulled out communication skills and some of these very, very important things that balance the human being to not just be reading, writing, arithmetic. I mean, that's pretty sterile. What makes us really get along, really get through hard times like what we're dealing now with the carnivorous virus. How do we get through all that? Is we have to have our character. We have to have our sense of self-worth intact. We have to be brave enough and bold enough to say, I'm not going down that path. You told me a story. I've analyzed it. I watched what's going on in the world, and you know what? I don't see it matching up. And I trust myself to analyze that. Okay? That's thinking skills. That's critical thinking skills. If we don't have that, we follow blind faith. And look where it's taking us. I've never seen so much hostility grow so fast. If you'd have said this was possible for the world to break down and become as ugly as it's becoming in the United States in, less than 6 months, less than 3 months maybe, right? I would have said not possible, not that fast. Oh, maybe a little, faction here and there. No. So what does that tell us? We've been talking about the dumbing down of the American education and how parents have not liked it for a long time, right? Well, now we're seeing what they intuitively knew was wrong, and now we're seeing it actually why it was wrong. Ooh, and there's a big price that's being paid, okay? And how do we help several generations who did not get the proper education? How do we help them get the proper education now that they're already in the adult world? Oh, it's so much harder. They've got a huge unlearning curve and they have to pick up new learning curves while they're trying to engage the world. They should have come into the world with that. They should have come in prepared to be an adult. And we, for many generations now, have failed them. Okay? And I feel, okay, so I'm part of what some of the generations let that fail. It's only right now that I got to work double duty to help us repair and reset the model, okay, to get it where it should have been all along. So I had a program that was called Preparing to Parent, and with this whole thing that's going on right now, it's been upgraded to Parents in the Know, because I really realized that we needed more than Preparing to Parent. That was 20, 30 years ago, a good model. We need parents in the know. We need to catch everybody up, and so that parents can make much better decisions. And then why? Not blind faith, because that gets us in trouble. I want you to make informed decisions. You understand why you can't allow schools to continue to be closed, why your kids are not going to catch up. We got a lot of work to do, and we can try to catch up a 6 or 9 month mess up that we got going right now, but it's going to take a lot of work. Kids are going to have to work double duty. We got to get teachers coming from a whole different perspective. And I don't think it's really going to happen unless parents insist it happens. And I have a feeling we're going to have to go what I call parallel. Parents, we're going to have to get empowered and say, you know what, we want a bigger vision, we will build it. We're not going to keep trying to get somebody to build it who doesn't want to. Public education system is pretty self-satisfied with itself. It's willing to betray you right now and start making your child learn on a computer and say, that's good enough. That works. Okay? But it's not good enough. Who was it that said about the kids? Could you say that? About the kids not wanting to learn on the computer? Who said that?
I did.
Yeah.
Will did.
There was do you want to tell?
Well, the running around Oklahoma City here talking to different people, and especially it seemed like the women who were concerned that they weren't able to be the teacher that the classroom teachers were actually needing to be for them because they got to work. These people were at work.
Yeah.
So it seemed like their consistent concern was that the child really didn't. I mean, the kids like to do computers and phones and stuff because they have games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're having a fun time. It's okay, but they're not. 2 or 3 of the women said that their kids are not learning that well across the computer with the courses that are supposedly being put out by the public education system, and that was a concern to them because the child wasn't really getting it.
Mm-hmm.
There was really no hands-on thing like it would be, say, in a classroom. We'll say if you had a Montessori school like Sharon says, that's all hands-on. Okay, but this is all across the computer screen. They're just kind of, it's kind of like watching TV. They're really not getting it as well as they could because children are more kinesthetically or somatically oriented anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what was going on there, at least in the people or the women that I ran across, asked them specific questions about this issue, and they were all concerned because they don't know how to do it.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a large learning curve with computers sometimes.
Right.
And I just wondered why is it that schools are transitioning to computer-based learning?
Well, this is something that we
it's-
talked about earlier, and that should be something we talk about today in the sense of a major topic.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all being, if we think that we'll just say the government controlled school system is something that has really dominated us in the sense of they create the curriculums, they create the books.
And they
And,
keep changing the books.
and
Has
they don't
anybody heard of revised history?
And we don't even know if those are true. Okay,
Exactly.
Especially what was that system they threw out here? I think it was a UN program threw out that other system of education supposedly, and it was like 2 and 2 equals 5.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a simple example, and it's like the kids go, they're really getting confused because they got 2 systems here. One that has a little more common sense based orientation, and the other one's just kind of off in wacko land. They don't even get it. So now you throw them into a computer orientation completely for education. That's, to me, I think all of us would be a little bit confused.
Well, as an educator, I can tell you that trying to train children with a computer is a fallacy. It is one of the worst models we could ever do. And there's a lot of reasons, okay, and we could make several shows on just the reasons why that is true. But some of the most, probably the most potent reasons can be summed up in saying that as children, we need human touch. One of the things we're training children is to become an adult. Let's just go back for a moment to the fact that we are on Mother Earth, and let's look at all of Mother Earth's cycles and what she does, because she's not interfered with by philosophy theories or imagined ideas. She functions from the Creator's divine design. I like that, okay? Simple way to put it. Well, we had a little robin nest out front, and Will was really delighted in watching every day the mother raising her little babies and the things that she was doing. And I can guarantee you there was no computer screen there trying to teach the birds how to eat and then later how to fly. It was about as hands-on as it could be. She's bringing in a worm, she's chewing it, opening up their mouth and shoving in the food. That's about hands-on all the way.
The funny part about it was you didn't have to open their mouth.
They're ready.
That's all they can do.
Okay, so we have natural ways in which we know we're going to receive that support and training, okay? Now, birds, she's been able to take them from shoving the food into their mouth to eventually dangling the worm to their mouth to then taking them out of the nest and putting them on the ground. And I actually got to watch one of her do it. If I would have known I was going to see it, I would have recorded it. It was perfect Montessori presentation. She took that worm out of the ground, showed it to him, then put it back. And the bird went, oh, give it to me. And she was like, no. She'd pick it up, did it again, and then she walked it closer to him and dangled it for him, and he was going after her, and she's pulling it away. She puts it back on the ground, and then she's like taking him and pointing to the ground, and and it was just amazing. And by the end of the lesson, he went over, got that worm out of the ground, and put it in his mouth, and then they went and flew up back to the nest. I was honored, man. But what did it tell me in retrospect? That we cannot change the fact that we are a biology-based, inspirited presence. So we got a body, mind, and spirit. And most of us acknowledge this. We have different beliefs about that, but pretty much most of us recognize that is true. We don't know what to do with all of that. We know but it's very complex. And the complexity requires that, unlike the mother bird who within a few months is able to go from birthing the bird, them cracking the eggs, and getting them to fly and then go out and be a parent themselves, which is all happening in several months. Humanity takes 18 to 20 years. That tells us a lot of responsibility and accountability in education. And in the book that I've just written that he asked about, that I failed to mention, it's called
you're coming to it now.
Is the Heart? Yeah, she's slow. Is the Heart and Soul of Parenting. It's a handbook, okay, and it's step-by-step skills of empowering both parent and child. You've got to empower both because the two are a connection. They're like a yin and a yang, parent and child. And so I put it together as a handbook because it's not another theory. I actually walk you through steps, and then I give you supporting reasons. And with shows like this and going to the website, we can start having parenting talks on webinars or whatever. That's how we can use the computer beautifully. We can bridge the space from here to Kansas to China to Australia here, okay? That is the beauty of what the computer can bring, but never, ever optimize and say, now what we're going to do is the classroom for your child becomes the computer. No, because we're going to miss all that hands-on stuff that has to be taught eye to eye. Character is not taught across a computer. It ain't going to happen, okay? I need to see the tears in your eyes, and I need to be able to touch you and hold your hand and say, it's going to be okay, Mommy and Daddy are getting a divorce. We can all work this out together. And the child can say, thank you. Because I've done it. That's how it works. And I've seen children get really out of control and crazy when the parents are going through a divorce. Their whole world is falling apart. They're scared out of their minds. And the parents don't know how to talk to them about it. They're having a hard time talking to each other just to create the divorce. And then to have the relationship afterwards. They want to often put the child in the middle as a bartering or a pawn to hurt each other. Okay, all this can be trained out of parents too. And parents are doing it because they're hurting. They don't know how. And so we need knowledge. That's why the upgrade from preparing to parent has been changed to parents in the know. The big question I hear parent over and over, Will was bringing back to me talking to people, I don't know what to do. That was the most basic, honest question and statement of a problem that needs a really good solution. One in the know. Well, we got to get parents in the know, right? It's possible. We can do it. Yeah, Will?
Well, it seemed like that they had a pretty good emotional connection with the child, of course. But the big deal was the structured education end of it. They were just lost. That's not in their wheelhouse.
And it won't be. And even knowing how to deal with their children fully emotionally is not known. I mean, how many memes have you seen that kind of show a parent coming home and with their kids during this whole virus thing and sitting there saying, like the funniest one I saw was, she opens up a bag and she takes out a drink for this child, puts a straw in, takes another one, puts a straw in, gives 4 kids their straws, and then she takes her straw and puts it into a big wine.
Well, Sharon, that reminds me too of this billboard that I saw. State of Texas. There's a big climbing wall. Kids, probably kids, maybe adults, climbing on this wall.
I saw this.
Yeah, and the caption says, it's a coronavirus ad, basically, and it says, "You've been climbing the wrong walls." And
Now, was it the one that the little kid was
climbing? Yeah,
it was amazing.
Yeah, and I think it is a kid. It must be a kid. Yeah,
Well,
because
he wasn't even 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So what were they saying with that?
But
ad?
so it's saying that kids are at home driving their parents crazy, and it just makes me think, like, how many kids are probably getting a few extra slaps to the back of the head?
No, that's a good point. No, good point.
How many kids are driving their parents so crazy that they're probably being abused, or and the parents, like, I'm not faulting the parents.
Mm-hmm. No.
Parents need to vent frustration in a healthy manner.
And since the parents don't know what to do, you will go into your own emotional collapse, your own frustration, and when we're frustrated, what comes out? Stop.
Anger,
Okay?
violence.
Yes, violence.
Yes.
Just stop it, and kids have 10 times more energy than the
Yeah.
adults around them. And
Yeah.
so, who's going to win the energy war? Probably the kids, if we look at it that way, right? So let's get the war out of there, and let's get to knowledge. And the Heart and Soul of Parenting Handbook specifically gives you one of the most powerful paradigms, and it's a new paradigm we got to move into. Okay, because it empowers and gets you onto the edge of truth for parenting. Okay, it's the Tao, it's the yin yang, it's the master key parents need to have. What is that? Ooh, sounds good. What is it? Okay, we got to go back to who we are, and who we are means we are some kind of inspirited being. Science to this day cannot explain why we breathe. How do you breathe? Where does that breath come from? Yet we know if we don't get that baby to breathe upon birth, there is no life. We know that once the breath comes in, we get the heart and we get the brain. It all comes online. No breath, no life. We know that. Okay? But we don't know why that breath works the way it does and what causes it to come in and why does it leave when we die. Science does not have a good answer, okay? Because it's an answer that comes from beyond what science will ever be able to touch, the way science currently likes to work. It's sacred science. It's our consciousness. And consciousness is never going to be a physical thing we can put in our hand. We're not going to be able to put it into a code, into a computer, and replicate it either. All right? It is beyond all those things. It precedes, and it is our actual intelligence. Okay? So I'm going to take a step back for a moment and say, I wanted to bring the breath up idea so that we can look at something realistically that we can relate to. We all know that inside of us we have this conflict to do what we might want to call good and nice things, or to do things that are selfish, narcissistic, maybe harmful to another. Okay? Every human being on the planet has this inner conflict. We can call it the conflict between your beautiful presence, your spirit, and the ego mind. That would be one way to say it, and as an adult we can relate to that. But kids, that ain't going to cut it. So we personified the idea in the book, The Heart and Soul of Parenting Handbook, to personify the struggle as a great me and a petty me. You have the bottom line choice every human has to make from moment to moment. Do I express and give my expressions to my great me or my petty me? Now, I've had parents say, oh, that sounds great in theory, but do kids really get it? Really, my kid's been 5 years in controlling the roost in our house and blah, 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 blah. So I said, all right, had some parenting meetings already, and said, bring your kids. And I'm going to start explaining the Great Me, Petty Me to you, the parent in the room. I'm not going to explain it to the kids initially, but they're going to be sitting there listening. Let's see what happens. I didn't know what would happen, but I was thinking, I got a feeling I know what's going to happen, but let's see if it does happen, right? And as I'm drawing the Great Me, I just draw a big picture with a smile and start talking about the Great Me. And I start saying, oh, and the Great Me is kind and is willing to consider another person and will do his chores. All the kids sitting on their parents' laps and sitting next to them start going, yeah, I know, and I would do this, and the Great Me would do this. And they all start just running like crazy with 1,001 examples of Great Me behavior. And all the parents are going, looking at their kids like, really? You know? And so I said, yeah, that's right. And we saw how the kids also lit up. They were joyous. Their eyes were bright, and it was exciting. Okay? Then I said, oh, but we also know we have another me, don't we? And the kids are like, oh, really? And then I draw a picture and I do a frowny face and I said, it's the petty me. Wants his own way. You can't have my toys. I'm not going to share my food with you. I ain't eating that. And then the petty me, they knew who that was just as well. And they start giving 1,001 examples. Yeah, I pull my sister's hair when I'm the petty me, and you know, and I pinch my sister when my mom's not watching. She'd look like, really? All kinds of things. Okay. Then I said, okay, kids, you can go out and play. Okay, and so they went outside to play. And then I said to the parents, well, what do you think? And they all went, we had no idea that they knew that, and that they understood it and grasped it like they did, because we thought it was too high of an idea. See? That's because they were parents who weren't trained in child development to understand how a child's mind functions. So parents, when you give birth to your child, you have this wonderful, of course you do, this wonderful hope and dream. Oh, this baby's been born and we're going to give them the best life ever. I don't know of a parent who does not say that upon the birth of their child. Okay? They're excited for that child. They look into the eyes of that child and they want to give them everything. Okay? That's normal. That's the way we're designed, parent-child. That's another duality Tao. Parent-child. They need to stay together. They should never be separated. Okay? So when you give the birth to the child, you have this great desire, but then you don't have any training whatsoever on how to do that. So somehow you're going to give them something that's a true, honest urge in your heart, but you don't have one iota of training to know exactly how do you do that. How do you do it so that it really works with your child and becomes beautiful and doesn't become this, I got to pound it into them, I got to open their head and throw it in. I mean, you've got all these theories, and half of them suck. They're all BS, okay, and they will not work. Most of us are going to pass whether we liked what our parents did or not, and most people aren't too fond. They all have something, I don't want to be just like my parents, okay, but we repeat it. Why? Because that's all we know. We do a little bit better. We do raise the bar a little bit, but unless we've been trained and actually shown and given the knowledge that filled the void our parents didn't have, we will carry the same void with us. And a void means, I don't know. Here we come back to that phrase. I don't know what to do. Okay? I don't know how to educate them in reading, writing, math. I don't know how to prepare them fully to be an adult. And I don't know how to deal with their great me, petty me. Now, anybody who's listening to this, you got that to say. Otherwise, you're saying, I don't know how to control my child. I don't know how to discipline them without harming. How do I, when they go crazy and they're having a temper tantrum, most parents do one of two things. They go into a violent way of dealing with it, or they capitulate, and then the child becomes violent towards them. Is that what you want? I don't think so. But that's what happens when you have a void and you don't know what to do with it. That's why I wrote the book. This is information nobody on the planet should be without, particularly parents. Okay, this is gold. It's the treasure trove of the universe, is to know a few basic things that cut right to the heart and soul of what happens. Bottom line thinking. Okay? Not airy-fairy, not up there in the sky, not blind faith. All that's voids and fantasy. We need reality. And you've probably already figured that out. Fantasy doesn't work real good with kids. They like fantasy stories, but it doesn't work to try to plug in a fantasy concept with kids.
Yeah, I think you both know, Will, you said children are brilliant. It's
Yes.
parents and programs that institutions that come in and screw them up.
Because you make a very valid and important point, and I'm glad you brought it up, Trison, is that we tend to think kids are dumb and stupid. Okay? We think they don't know. We think they can't know. That's like the parents were thinking, oh, that great me, petting me idea, Sharon, sounds a little highfalutin. And then they discovered it was exactly the best way to approach it because it took judgment out. We no longer had to deal with bad and good. We could say, you're always good, you're great, but your choice, now that sucks sometimes. And it's not acceptable for you to choose petting me. I will not allow and tolerate petting me behavior because I love you. That's my job as a parent, to make sure that you learn how to identify, honor, and master your great me. Then you will be an amazing adult. You can lead the world in ways that will really be effective. You won't keep slipping into the petting me that you don't understand, because you will have controlled it when you were learning how to take control of that part of your life. That's why I call it empowerment for both parent and child. Great stuff, right?
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yes. So the other thing that we needed to look at, we can talk a lot more about this. I mean, that's like a real piece of, what we would say, it's going to the heart and soul of what the heart and soul was all about, the gold, as you like to call it.
Yeah.
That's something you can all chew on, but learn more about in the book, okay? The book will be going into print very soon. We're just waiting for the cover. Everything is ready to go. We've got the ISBNs. We've got the Library of Congress number. I mean, the book is ready. But you got it, and you deserve a beautiful cover for this book because it's your handbook, and I want you to look at it and see it in your heart warm every time you see this book and know that you got it in your possession. And right now, we'll be getting things like the phone numbers and everything else, so you got to keep in touch. And Trison can tell you more how to do that because that's the geekalicious stuff.
I'm your geek.
and that's all got to happen. So we talked about the big challenge of parents needing to know. And I think that was the biggest message that was most important for you to get right now today. You can tune in to the Edge of Truth radio show, and we're going to put a lot of focus on the parenting aspect because they are our future, and they are being ignored right now. And already they have 3 to 4 months, and I've been hearing from other people that schools are already planning to continue this stupid-ass narrative. Yes, and I'm being crude. Because it's hurting our kids, and it's hurting you, and it's destroying and devouring our good life. We need to have it. And our kids are better and bigger and worthy and cannot afford to go down another 6 months of no education. That's insane. So, if the educational system isn't wanting to change and everybody wants to stay institutionalized and go with the narrative and do what corporate America says, we're going to have to take our power back, and we're going to have to do it at the level of parents. I think parents are the most powerful people on the planet because you have children under your care. And you're committed from that day when you saw them born to make sure they get what they need. Well, they don't need cars. They don't need checkbooks. They don't need anything more than being really given the education they need to prepare them to be an adult. They need your love, your light, and your knowledge. And I'm here to help you get the knowledge and to help you start to say, unacceptable, poor, sucky education is not acceptable. We're not going to capitulate any longer. So, but don't fight. Oh my God, you've been fighting the system for 20, 30 years. Oh, we don't like it. And what's happened? 2, 3, 4 generations have continued to go forward, and they're suffering. Oh my God, we got to stop it. How? Well, what we need to do is form a grassroots movement and set up schools that work. I can help with that. And I will help parents who want to do that. But you're going to have to want to do the work. I'm not talking to people who want to sit on an ivory throne and pontificate additional theories. I want the parents who are willing to get their feet in the trenches and said, okay, let's build a parallel system. Let's do what we politically need to do to get a voucher back from the government for that check that goes to the public schools, and let us spend it where the heck we want. Let us choose the school. Parents, why shouldn't you have that check? Why shouldn't you choose the quality of education your child's get? You're paying the taxes. Why should it just be, well, the only choice you really got to be able to get the advantage of your tax dollar is to go and put them in the public school? That's bullshit. Right? Oh, I should have said something nicer. That's just crap. That's bad. It's ugly. I don't know. It's wrong. And it really isn't something we should accept. And what do we do with shit? Shove it down the toilet. We don't even think twice. Anything else, we kind of think, well, maybe I should hang on to it for a little while. So if we call a spade, it might be easier for us just to move forward. I told you I was a bottom line thinker. It gives me clarity. Okay, so I don't ever want to deal and muck around in that garbage. I don't want you mucking in it either. So let's get clarity. Let's rise above it. Let's get empowered. Let's continue the conversation to see what we need to do to start creating schools on a more private basis that will stay open. We need a way to be insured by our government that when we get these schools open, nobody can come in and shut it down because of the virus. Okay? We trust the divine design. You know, really, suddenly God got stupid in March of 2020. That suddenly his divine design to know how to deal with viruses and with the immune system suddenly became moot? Died? I don't think so. Did the CDC suddenly get smarter than God? Really? I don't think so. And I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there who say, you know what? I don't think so either. Okay? I think divine design has a purpose. It's worked for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It will continue to work. Don't get me wrong. I do know some people will die. But we always have. We always have. People have died of the Spanish flu, mumps, measles. Will was telling me something about people who had heart diseases were dying in numbers that were so high they make what's happening for people dying from this virus insignificant. When we look at the numbers, and we want to talk about that on the show too, about how to think. Wow, it's really a hot idea. Hold my necklace right off. Woo!
The numbers don't add up.
Yeah, the numbers, I said, oh, there's a lie. Take that chain off. The numbers don't lie. There's a way to think about the numbers that are intelligent and that give us a true perspective. That's what we really want. You know, the numbers alone are frightening and scary, but you got to look at them in terms of the population. And when it's a significant number, the number is like less than 00 point something, 0.00 something, you're talking like insignificant numbers. We never shut the world down. I think somebody was saying one of them was 12 or 17%. We haven't even hit 1%, right? Okay, really? And so now we want to destroy our world, destroy freedom, start living behind these horrible masks where we don't get to see each other for who we are. You want to talk about us being distanced? Where do you think all these riots are coming from? People are filled with fear. They're raw. They're raw with pain. They don't have answers. They're in that void. They need to know, and they don't know, and what they don't know becomes fodder for somebody to make up more bullshit and scare them even more. People's hearts are sincere. I know they are. They're being manipulated. With a proper perspective, we can rise above that and say, no, it's a good story, but that's all it is a story. We need the facts. And we're not going to let our kids and our future become so horrible because we're afraid of something that might happen. Really? We're going to have to deal with what does happen, but we don't have to create our own demise, do we? On the edge of truth, we're saying people who are probably going to listen are saying the answer to that question was no, we do not have to, nor do we want to create our own demise. We want to be empowered. We want to know how to set up a parallel system and educate our kids beyond anything the public school has done for over 30 years. We want character development training. We want critical thinking training. We want our kids to know how to communicate. We want them to know how to govern themselves. We want them to have self-discipline, self-governance, community abilities to talk. We want people who will not label another human being and call them a name and then think they know them. We want people who will open from heart to heart so that we can blossom to be a magnificent human spirit. Because every picture that warms your heart, whether it's somebody coming back from the war or doing something, it's all about the human spirit and how we do brave, bold things for each other, how we touch each other, how we, Father, he ain't heavy, we carry him on our shoulder, okay? These are the things that are who we are, but we're losing them, and we're losing them fast. But on the Edge of Truth radio, we're going to hang on to it. We're going to give it a space to grow. We're going to let it get on some good fertile territory, and it's going to be whatever you make it. You don't listen? You don't want to know? Well, I'm Sharon. He's Sharon. Bill's sharing. We'll help you. We'll help you help yourself. We're not here teaching anybody the idea of fishing. We're not here teaching somebody saying, I'm going to feed you. No. We're saying we're going to teach you how to feed yourself. And to feed yourself, well, nice 12, 11 course dinners, a little nice whatever behind. You know, let's have it and do it right. Okay? Anything else that we need to say to close out here?
Well, I think that is a good structure to work from for the upcoming shows.
Mm-hmm.
So really kind of a
Raise your voice, Will.
overall perspective about some of the issues that we're going to be talking about.
Mm-hmm. But we want you to be talking about them. We want to be feeding. We need feedback from you.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it just becomes our putting a voice out there, right? If you're going to benefit, you need to get involved. And we want to open a platform for you to get involved. We think that's the power, right?
Yeah. I would just add that the brilliance of children that we noted applies to adults as well.
Yes.
Who we all were once children, and so much of it is not the intent of teachers and parents and institutions to dumb down kids, but there are so many unintended side effects of the way we've always done things, and if we continue to do things that way because it's the way that we've always done, then those side effects are compounding even today.
That's right.
They've compounded to get us to where we are,
and what you're saying is very, very big, valuable point, and we're seeing it in what's happening right now in our society. We're seeing corporate businesses saying to all their employees, wear that mask. They don't want to wear them. They're doing this, and whatever, and they're getting sick. They're getting pleurisy. They're lowering their immune system. It feels horrible because we're not designed to wear a mask like that, okay? And besides, it allows people to hide their face, and it makes you now somebody that I can judge or be mean to you because I'm not seeing you. I've been walking through stores and saying to people, and they'll go, and I'll say, I can't wait for you to take this off and I can see your smiling face. Okay? I want to see you again. And I've had people go, never touch their mask. I've seen others go, oh, and they literally pulled their mask off and looked at me, and we both smiled from ear to ear. And I know their eyes lit up, my eyes lit up, and that was a moment of human-to-human contact, spirit to spirit, that was beautiful. Okay? And I've seen more and more people pull it off and light up. And then I can say, "What? You're a beautiful person. I now see you. I now know who I'm talking to." We all know the truth of that. That's empowering. That's human. That means we love each other more and we can relate more and do great things. We're motivated to do something because we're not hidden. And I don't, really, here, you meet me without my mask, you're not going to know it was me. It could be so many people, right? You need all of this. You need all of this. I need all of this to see beautiful Trison, to see beautiful Will, to see beautiful me. Okay? We're all beautiful. But we're not beautiful when we're hiding under, because that basically says to the world, shame, fear, worry, guilt. Guilt if I take my mask off? That's not true. That's somebody made that up. You're not guilty. You're smart. You're brave. You're making a decision for yourself. Shame? What are you to be ashamed of? You're worthy. You're beautiful. Divine design. Trust it. There's nothing there to judge. You're worthy to be seen for all of who you are. And I see that, going back to the education, it was the same kind of thing. People in the stores that are working saying, well, they told me if I don't wear the mask, I don't have a job. Okay, that sucks. Okay? That's Nazi Germany, to be honest with you. I've had family from behind the Iron Curtain, so don't tell me I don't know much about it. I do. And it started like this. It starts where people listen and do something that they don't want to do because they're afraid to say no, because maybe I won't have a job, or maybe I can't feed my kids, or I can't pay my mortgage. But if everybody said we're not doing it, do you think they're going to fire everybody? I don't think so. They can't afford to. And if they get enough pushback and enough people are walking in the stores and saying, we don't like this. Because I've walked into many stores and said, you want to do this crap? I'll go somewhere else. I walk out and I do take my business somewhere else. Okay? And if we did that in massive numbers, and we weren't afraid to do that, do you think this would continue to have them close the schools in the fall? No. But we're giving them a momentum to make that easy. Is that what you want to do? I'm thinking you haven't thought that out. You haven't put two and two together, but now you can start to say, oh my God, one does lead to the other, doesn't it? It sure does. And so we need a lot more to talk about what to do with education, to understand the heart and soul of parenting more, and keep it in your heart, at the top of your heart, so we can get that thing published. I'm going to make it available on Amazon, your favorite bookstores, in digital form. That will come out a little bit later than the printed form, and in libraries. I want to make this available to everybody because there is no person I can think of who's not worthy of knowing this information. You can do what you want with it, but you can't turn it down. You can't benefit if you don't know what you're looking at. You at least need to look at it and see if it offers a new door of opportunity for you. And so the big thing is step out of your complacency, because there's a famous quote I heard that Will drew to my attention, and it was, your acquiescence is...
No.
I'm saying it wrong. Okay, here's
what it got down to is that you give up your power by your own acquiescence to all these other agendas.
Right. When you don't agree and you tolerate, you actually acquiesce and give them power. So if you don't like all the riots and everything that's going on, then you don't acquiesce by shame and guilt. You say, no, I don't agree with that. That's not correct. That's an exaggerated agenda. Where's the facts? The simplest fact I like is, through all of this virus thing, we could drive all around Oklahoma and never once, and go in, you could talk to people. Nurses, doctors are all standing there doing nothing, waiting for this influx of supposedly overwhelming amount of sick people coming in with this virus. Well, it didn't happen. Why do we think it's going to happen 6 months from now? It didn't happen now. It didn't happen then. Why? And you don't quarantine people who are healthy. There is absolutely no precedent for that. No medical reason on the planet. Quarantine people who are sick, that makes more sense. But not people who are healthy. Okay? And if people are picking it up, then they get it. Yes, they heal. Okay, it goes on. But the point was, hospitals were going out of business. So how could we have been overwhelmed and not have enough and go out of business at the same time? That's what we call critical thinking. Okay? That's where you got to do a little bit of your homework and say, oh, yeah, isn't that interesting? Oh, yeah, how could we have been overwhelmed and they're going out of business because there wasn't enough business? So, maybe we weren't being overwhelmed. And maybe shutting our economy down is not a price we should be paying.
Well, there's also a lot of people that needed to be there that were dealing with
Exactly.
multiple other issues.
Yes, the
And
amount
they
of
were being
suffering.
rejected.
Oh, the amount
This
of
whole
suffering.
thing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how many people died because that policy was put into play?
As a matter of
The
fact,
reason a lot of these hospitals didn't have anybody is because they weren't even going to let them come to them.
that's right.
It's ridiculous.
And so how many people died and have been suffering is a far greater number than those who have died with this virus. And you brought up something that dovetails to it about children being abused.
Abused in the home, yeah.
Yeah, in the home. That's probably not even being reported. But even domestic abuse where the mother or wife gets to report is way up. Mental health is way up. Obviously, we're doing something wrong. Those two things should not be going up in that effort to secure our health and our security. Huh? What? How did those words go together? Critical thinking. Critical thinking. You've got the power to think. Because actually, spirit is intelligence. Isn't that an interesting concept? Okay, on that little nugget of gold that we dropped.
Okay, so we're really happy to have all of you with us here on this initiating show of the Edge of Truth Radio. I want to thank Sharon, Quinn, Trison Graham, myself, Will Gable, in our contributions to setting up this format, because out of this show will be coming a lot of different perspectives on many different issues, obviously. So again, we'll probably see you next time. I'm not sure, Trison, when that will be.
Next week.
Next week, or in the interim,
Next week, okay.
you can look for archived content.
Okay, yeah.
And tell them where to find some of these
Yeah,
things,
go ahead,
Trison, since you're the no
Sure,
guy on that.
Sure. This Twitch channel is going to be a main place to talk about our discussions on our weekly discussions, as well as archive content of Will and Sharon and their Blog Talk Radio show, all the guests and discussions that they had at that time. And also there are YouTube. There is a YouTube channel, and what other contact information?
And the YouTube channel will be called what?
Edge of Truth Radio.
Edge of Truth Radio.
Edge of Truth Radio, YouTube.
Okay.
Which would be uploaded. Which will have uploaded videos of our discussions as well.
And you know, it's really interesting. I'm not a big fan of, and I don't know if we can go far down the path with Facebook. I always call it's Facebook, not Soulbook, so that ought to tell us a lot. But the point was, we did, and what triggered off the writing of the book was we had a community of people who wanted to really help parents, and they came to me and said, oh, let's do a little bit of interview, let's talk to the parents and help them out. The kids are driving them up the wall. And this was very early on, okay? They're already driving them up the wall within 3 weeks, within 2 to 3 weeks. And so we do a nice little interview, and we were going to put out I had an article ready for people to just download, and they did it, well, what did they do? Like, they recorded it live and put it on Facebook, so we didn't record it.
A Facebook Live.
Yeah, a Facebook Live thing. Okay, and we thought, oh, that's cat's me out, right? This is great. And that was pulled by Facebook and censored within an hour. We still are not knowing why a parenting interview got pulled. What? Okay? But that got me to say, okay, I was trying to figure out how to put the article out. We were going to do it again. And I just got ticked off. And I just said, I'm just going to put a whole book out. And then we're going to just go and do something more. And look where it grew. To something really beautiful.
Great. Very great.
So, anyhow,